This disgusting stink of a too loud electric guitar. Now that's my idea of a good time. Who said that? Hang on. If you're going to learn to play lead guitar, get an electric guitar. It doesn't have to be an expensive one. Acoustic guitars aren't good for learning lead because you can't play up very high on the neck, and they take heavier gauge strings, which makes it hard to bend notes. Hard to believe, but so much to appreciate. Who was that? Hang on. All I want for Christmas is a rock and roll electric guitar. Who said that? Hang on. Gibson has been making the finest electric guitars the world has ever witnessed for over 70 years. They are American as God, guns, and rock and roll. As jazz fans, it was amusing for us to play jazz harmonies on these ugly, big electric guitars. And then the final quote, I was bought an electric guitar when I was 12, but my guitar teacher beat me up. I didn't like guitar lessons. My teacher was obviously bored giving me lessons. And one day I offered him a licorice taffy, but he didn't answer. So I threw it at him and hit him in the face, and he sort of beat me up again. All right. So we have several quotes.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to give you some people, and you can tell me who said it.
Okay.
All right. We'll start off with the first one. We'll go with Deb. Your choices for this disgusting stink of a too loud guitar. Now that's my idea of a good time. Was it Donald Fagen, Simon Cowell, Ted Nugent, Chuck Berry, or Frank Zappa?
Oh, I know. I don't think it's Ted Nugent because I have him pinned with a different quote. So I'm going to say Frank Zappa.
You are correct. All
Yeah.
right.
I love winning. I'm a winner.
Yeah.
All right, Jeff, we'll go to you on this one here. Who said, if you're going to learn to play guitar, get an electric guitar? You know, and he goes on and on and on, right? About how important it is to play lead. Is it Frank Zappa? Can't be because we already used him. Ted Nugent, Donald Fagen, Simon Cowell, or Eddie Van Halen?
What was the quote?
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah. What was the quote?
If you're going to learn to play electric guitar or lead guitar, learn how to play electric guitar. Because the acoustic guitar, you can't learn lead. The strings are too, heavy, and you can't bend them like you want to bend them. So there's so much to appreciate on an electric guitar. Was it Eddie Van Halen, Donald Fagen, Ted Nugent, or Simon Cowell, or Chuck Berry?
I say Chuck Berry.
Nope. Eddie Van Halen. Deb, to you.
Okay.
All I want for Christmas is a rock and roll electric guitar. Ted Nugent, Donald Fagen, Simon Cowell, or Eddie Van Halen, Chuck Berry?
Chuck Berry.
Yes, it's Chuck Berry. You're 2 for 2.
Ding, ding, ding.
Back to Jeff. As jazz fans, it was amusing for us to play jazz harmonies on these big, ugly electric guitars. Ted Nugent, Chuck Berry's already been used. Frank Zappa's already been used. Is it Simon Cowell, Donald Fagen, Ted Nugent?
Donald Fagen.
Yes, of course, Jazz.
Jazz.
There you go. You're 1-1. You're 50%.
I almost thought it was going to
No, always 1 for 2.
but that's okay.
Yeah, 50%, right? So, Deb.
Yeah. What's a quote? Just tell me the
Gibson
quote.
has been making the finest electric guitars ever witnessed over 70 years. It says, American is God's, guns, and rock and roll, and it can only be
Ted Nugent.
Yes, whom you've met. So you would
Who
know,
I've met.
right?
I sat on
that
his
was
lap.
unfair. And finally, the last quote, yes, the person who was beat up by his tutor, his electric guitar tutor, was Simon Cowell. So, a little bit of fun
That
there.
was fun.
Yeah.
That was fun.
All right. So, hey, tonight we discuss the favorites that can drop the axe, whether it's a Les Paul, an SG, an ES45, an RG, a Stratocaster, a Telecaster. And there's probably others that I don't know the names of. No, I don't play guitar because I forgot all about that macho shit, and I should have learned how to play guitar. Welcome, Music Multiverse listeners, to Panelist Favorites, electric guitarists only. That's right. We leave the acoustics for another night. Our panelists have to narrow down their favorites. That's right, their favorites, not, oh my God, this is the guitar hero of all time. It's your favorite. It's one that you'll listen to over and over again. They don't have to be hailed as the rock god of all swinging axes. They can be, maybe they're not even well known, So that's the plot tonight, but that we'll see how that goes. So on the panel, he's caught between a Telecaster and a Stratocaster, and whatever casters he can put on anything else. Jeff Young, and she never frets unless it's time to fret, and this is the perfect time to fret. Damn, Deb Armitage Hicks Maloney, and I hope that Disney doesn't sue me. No, Pixar, right? Disney's Toy Story, right? No, they own.
Yeah, Pixar. No,
Yeah.
I don't know.
And then Susie Q will join us when she's picked up child from work, because walking home would take probably half a day. So let's go. Let's start off with Jeff Young, since he had his day in the sun with the Van Halen set. So give us your number 5.
I'm going to go with Kirk Hammett of Metallica. Just because I feel like I listen to a Metallica song every day, even if I choose or choose not to, but it just happens. But for having so many songs and so many albums, such a long career, how does he figure out how to make a different solo every time there's a song, and it seems to match the song? It's incredible. He's still watched recent video. He's still just as good as he's ever been.
Yeah, I don't know which one was in Paris or something. I mean, I haven't seen anything from this year because I want to, but every time you go, oh, I can watch that, and I'm looking at the hour it is, and I'm like, oh, I can't blast I can't blast the TV, so I can put my headphones in, but yeah, their entire catalog, man, that's one of those catalogs that I can listen to and not skip a song, even though there are many people like, oh my God, that album's too commercial and blah blah blah. I don't know.
Oh no.
But he's kind of shrouded in the entire band. You know what I mean? Like they're like, people kind of think of him as the whole. Everybody is the whole, right?
Yeah.
And of course, he's the least spoken. He usually doesn't say as much, right? Lars is always out there.
Every interview always seems like the super nicest guy.
Yeah. Oh, good. That's
unassuming kind of person. Yeah.
It's a great pick. Deb, and now for your number 5.
I didn't really know what place to put him in, but I had to put him in this exercise because you embarrassed him one time, and it's Jimi Hendrix.
The one trick pony. Is that what my comment?
Yes, that's exactly what you said. But he definitely, for me, really influenced the way I listen to guitar going forward. Even though when obviously he passed away before I was listening to this kind of music. What was it, 70? So I was only 8 years old. Was it 70 that he passed away, 69 or 70?
Something like that. I'm not an aficionado.
I would think
it's 70 or 71, but like
dropping like flies, they were.
Oh yeah, that was for sure.
that was a bad time in music history. But I don't really need to say anything more than I just love Jimi Hendrix, and I really still, part of our discussion has been, where would he be today? What would he be today? There's just so many mysteries about Jimmy. So
yeah,
my number 5.
I understand the whole draw and everything. There's no question about it. I mean, I have pretty much the entire catalog over there. And
I'm just teasing you, Mark.
But nothing on the live side. Sometimes you go back and you find out that I never down anybody like, oh, they're nowhere near the talent of this guy or that guy.
Right.
They all have their influences.
Place.
And let me tell you, is it Christians? He's like there are people that have influenced people all over the years. And back then in those times, people weren't there for the fame. They were there for the atmosphere and everything, right? And that's really freaking cool. Now you can have atmosphere, but I mean, that's what I'm trying to do here. We're trying to have atmosphere. And but I got a goddamn work, and work is not 8 hours a day. It's
God damn it.
Yeah. So
hey man, I'm with the band, but I'm just here for the sex and drugs.
There you go. They were there for that too. I mean, yes. If I know what I know now, no, I'd have picked up a guitar. Not the flute, because that's gross.
Just one time at camp.
Yeah, this one time at band camp. All right, so my number 5, I don't have many in the old world because I don't know why. For this, it's about the people I listen to or gravitate to and go, wow, they continually shock the shit out of me with the things they do with an electric guitar, and it's awesome. And that one would be number 5 would be Morello, Tom Morello from Rage Against the Machine. I know, he has a signature, but it's never the same. But it's still, he's involved. And if it doesn't matter what project he's involved in, even his solo stuff, if you have not, his solo material, not the Night Watchman, it's kind of but the stuff that just came out recently has some interesting backing. So
yeah, the most memorable guitarists, a lot of them had their own signature style.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So my number 5 is Tom Morello. Back to Jeff Young for his number 4.
I guess I'm gonna go with Tony Iommi of Black Sabbath. Not only does he has memorable just rhythm guitar and memorable solos, having really just initially just been in a 3-piece band, and just so many track songs, and regardless of the singers he's had, just so many different riffs that are memorable and iconic. Just you recognize them instantly, and just so much work. It's meaningful.
Now he would be
your wheelhouse.
He would be the riff lord if there, instead of the band that calls himself Riff Lord.
Not only the best guitarist in Jeff's opinion, but he's a riff lord too. Wow. Yeah. Don't make me do a show on riff lords.
Yeah, we could do that. It was, that's a lot of fuzz. But he was definitely on my list
and a songwriter on top of that.
Yeah, which I really didn't know that he was. But yeah. There's a couple of mine in here that are songwriters, definite songwriters. And maybe that's why they get overlooked. Deb.
Well, this guy, another dead one.
I should do some shows because those are the only ones that people watch.
I mean, one of my favorites of all time, saw him in concert, and really nothing. When he starts Doves Cry, that song, that just, Prince is just the man. I had a hard time putting these 5 in any order, just like you guys did with yours, for sure. I guess it would just maybe depend on the length of time that I was really paying attention to them, so he fell down the list a little bit for me. But Prince, I don't really need to say too much more about him. He's just like, I listen to his music as if it came out today, and it's masterful, and he has his sound too.
Yeah. So let me ask this question, because this is the problem I have with Prince. There was like
another dead guy you're dissing.
a momentary lapse of reason that went on and on and on and on. Like it became like soul funk. But in the modern, like the Lotus Flower record and all this, it became too overproduced. Do you know what he's actually famous for? He invented, or that he utilized?
What?
He is responsible for?
No.
Auto tuning.
Stop it.
Believe it or not. Yes.
That's so interesting. I love that little tidbit.
All those people that sound perfect, well, he started that. I can't remember what record it was where the auto tuning took place. Well, why not make it sound the best it can make it sound? Well, okay.
There you go.
He's sitting there at the drawing board. I sound so amazing. How can I make others sound that equally amazing?
I want to bring. Everybody can sing. Everyone can sing, right? It's the same as.
No, he knew he was a 10. He wanted to be an 11.
Yes. Yeah. I just that's the part. He was on my list, and I knew he would never break into the 5 because when Doves Cry and those albums up there in that era were all those greatest hits, and then the Batman soundtrack alone puts him in a guitar composer maestro extraordinaire. And then after that, things just got
Gotcha.
disturbingly oversexed, or I don't know. It just
And that's probably when I really stopped listening. Like that's not part of what I love about him.
Yeah.
For me to put him in
I
my
think
top
that's where
five,
I
but
also on this list I've said, please, if you're an electric guitarist and that's your jam,
yeah.
jam then. Don't go away from don't like sometimes with other artists, they're like, I'm like, wait a minute, they're not playing guitar, they're singing and they're playing keyboard, Eddie Van Halen, and just their things. So on that note, so my number 4 is he might be a little bit more known for acoustic, but his electric is amazing too. And I it's Al Di Meola. I Need My Jazz. And then I said, you know what? I got to put somebody else ahead of him. I don't know what I was thinking. I love it, but Pat Metheny.
Yeah.
Pat is amazing.
Nice.
He is an engineer. He when I saw him in concert, he freaking blew my mind. It was the orchestration show where he's got all of them tied to valves and he played and the instruments played themselves.
Stop it.
He had orchestra in a cage with nobody and he played and he was
That's genius.
There are things in the earlier albums that are very untimely, that have not been kind in time, maybe, right? Because of the sound of it, the what do they call it, the tone. Sort of like that every time I hear disco, but but when he plays that guitar, no matter whether I don't like it, I'm still like, holy shit, he's insane. So Pat Metheny's my number 4. Di Meola had to get bounced out. And I think that's probably because my idea is like, it's more, he can flamenco, acoustic, and that. So I'm going to save him for some other show.
Oh, there you go.
So, now back to Jeff.
I'm going to pick Little John of the Married Men. Just kidding. So
I thought you were going to take the 13th Apostle.
It was a last minute adjustment. So I'm going to go with Slash.
Okay.
Because Guns N' Roses is uber relevant, and you could list probably 15 to 20 of his riffs and you'd recognize them right away. They're just so fun. And he reinvents himself and does different projects, whether it's additional rock bands, rock projects, soul projects, blues tours, and of course there's the ever popular called Guitar Hero.
Yeah.
I went as Slash for Halloween once. So
wow.
Yeah, so he's just fun and relevant and continues to be relevant.
That's great.
Yep.
Honorable mention for me, he was. I had a feeling that you'd go with him.
I wondered if
I didn't
on that.
go with my top 5, but then I thought more about it. I'm like, yeah, I guess for me, I guess I'll put him up there.
I've watched some interesting things on him, and he just keeps on going and being Slash, but not being Slash. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Deb.
Okay, well, my blues. I have Stevie Ray Vaughan in my list.
He's hard not to have on a list like that.
He actually, blues is my thing, and that's my background of where I grew into a lot of other things that I love. And every time I listen to somebody maybe new in the blues scene, or I tend to compare to him.
Yep.
And I've done it with Kenny Wayne Shepherd and like who was the Gary
Gary Clark Jr.
Yeah, like all these hopes that he would be more in that realm, but for some reason Stevie Ray just is the king in my mind as far as blues in my time, in my era. Obviously not like a BB King, but yeah, gone before his time. I have 3 dead people so far.
Blues rock.
Maybe I shouldn't name my other 2. They're still alive. I don't want to jinx them.
Although I'll be able to do a show and they'll see by thousands of people. It's almost like I should start a Deadpool.
All the best musicians are dead. It's not because we're old; it's because they just didn't live long enough.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
That's right. Stevie Ray Vaughan was on my list. Again, that's a short catalog. It's funny for me because I'll go back to the Texas flood or couldn't stand the weather, and I still love Instep more. I don't know what it is about Instep.
Yeah.
No, just the houses are rocking, and okay, I believe you. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah, really.
I just do. And every song on there.
He ordered you to believe him.
You think Stevie Ray Vaughan could have done like a Super Bowl halftime show in like New Orleans?
Oh my God, yes. As a matter of fact, that's what they should do. They should get people who are, covers of that and just do all the greats.
Yeah, that would be great.
Instead of the shit that they've been putting out. My God,
that would be great.
Stop. Yeah. Or just get Ted Nugent to do it. All right. Because that's football, baby.
Oh, yeah, it is. It's American. There's guns.
That's right. He can, yes. No one would watch, but anyway.
I would.
I would too. Because I've never seen him live, so I don't know.
Yeah.
It's me now, right? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So I am gonna pull out something that I have been, and several other people in the social media realm have sort of agreed with me. I'm sure they don't want to step out on a ledge, but I do believe the most underrated guitarist right now in the entire music multiverse is Jeff Martin of the Tea Party. He is a guitar virtuoso. He can play it any way you want. He's also got other electric instruments that I don't know the names of that come from some foreign country or were made in some cave. He's the master of the dark art. He is Jim Morrison reincarnate, only he's got a guitar in his hand and he can make it do crazy things too without it going really off kilter. But he has riff and he has prog. Riff and prog are not usually tied together so much.
That's right.
And he is, and a lot of people who are experienced in music will say when they're listening, the first time they ever heard to it, well, this is a prog band. How is that possible? Yes, it is. I mean, yes, keyboard, drum.
Yep.
So Jeff Martin of Tea Party, if you do not know, look him up. There's plenty of YouTube videos. He's pretty decent on acoustic too, but it would definitely harnesses the power of the electric guitar, and he does love to play it with a violin bow, and
yes, he does.
Else he can kind of. So
we saw them at the same place, didn't we?
Yes,
and you took Lauren. She was little.
Lauren was 5, and she was in the front row, and I told her, "Don't tell your mother." And the first thing she said,
"Go like this is loud."
Yeah, and then she didn't have any. There was no headphones. There was nothing I could stick in her ear. And I said, if it gets loud, we can get out. And she went, Dad. I go, yeah, you want to move? She goes, this is awesome. And he's pointing at her. And, everyone in the crowd is like, I'm an idiot. And then she says, Mom, it was awesome. We were in the front row.
As soon as you tell your child, don't tell Mom. Yeah, forget it. It's over.
Yeah, we were supposed to be on the side of the stage. That didn't work out because she didn't want to be there. She wanted to be in the front row.
I remember I was way in the back. I said, this is too loud for me. And there's a 5-year-old up there, but I'm not surprised you picked him, Mark.
And the Tea Party do not start easy. They start loud and bring it up. All right. Number 2 to Jeff.
Angus Young.
Yes. Yeah. On my list as well.
It's just so fun all the time. Nobody is into their own show more than Angus Young.
That's right.
And like so many memorable riffs, so many riffs that are used everywhere because everyone loves them. If you don't listen to AC/DC, you will enjoy the riff at your sporting event, in a movie. It just fits everything. But yeah, Angus Young for sure.
I'm not surprised. Surprised by any of yours so far.
That's good. So it's not that surprising.
But you know what? Good choice. I like them all so far.
Deb?
Well, I never
Is this one dead too?
No. Okay. Wait a minute. I don't know. It could be.
Look it up.
What? I haven't looked at who died today, but my next 2 could die at any time. So I never saw this person play live on the electric guitar, but I did see him play acoustically. But that's not, I think he does both of them great, but I picked him for my electric guitar because of his background and then just the other person on my list that he had some dealings with, but it's Eric Clapton.
Okay. Slow
Um,
hand.
Slow hand.
Not dead.
He.
In fact, has a new album coming out.
It's already
Oh,
out.
thank God.
It is already out. I've only listened to the first track.
Thank you, Eric, for still being alive. He, his influences obviously were some of the guys that I ended up loving because they were his influences. And when I saw him do the acoustic, it was when he had his Crossroads with Robert Johnson on the front of the cover.
Oh,
But
okay.
I already loved Eric Clapton as an electric guitarist. I probably wouldn't have gone to see him touring that album if I hadn't already loved him, because I am more of an electric guitar kind of person as far as new bands and new music. So, I mean, he's just awesome, and I want to meet him. Can we meet Eric if you're listening?
Yes,
We'll
yes, of
see
course
you
he is. Yeah, I
So-
always he was his rock blues slow, all the
Mhm.
bands he was involved in. He was in an Enigma, an Amalgamation,
I know.
and I always thought that for a long time prior to the bad situation that happened,
Yeah,
his attachment to the blues as a vocal guy was
Yeah.
never there
No.
until that. And
Yep.
it's almost like
100%.
and that's a sad, it's a sad situation, but I still stick by that because they did get.
No, it's absolutely true, Mark. I mean,
I guess you have to lose to know the blues, right? And
absolute, and it does become more real to the other
Mhm.
people that are listening to it, because if you're listening to somebody sing the blues that's had a charmed, wonderful life, it's all contrived and it seems like it's acting, right?
Yeah.
So, but I've always admired him. Obviously, he's talented beyond belief, and like I said, I'm glad he's alive.
Yep. Good pick. It's on everyone's list, I'm sure. My number 2 is absolutely no surprise. It's at number 2 might be the surprise. It's Buckethead.
No, I had written on my notes that Mark's number 1 would be Buckethead.
No, I do listen to an awful lot of Buckethead, but there is one more individual that goes higher than that. It's an incredible large catalog. If I do a catalog review show, you will know that I have passed my prime and I'm no longer working anymore, because it would probably be
To
an
be able to
entire week
listen.
show. He has over 200 to 300 albums, and putting them in order would be an insane as him trying to play and remember all the songs he wrote. But apparently maybe he does. I would love to have him as an interview on here.
Oh, yeah.
That would be my almost best dream of all time. He's quite the virtuoso. He does play just about everything in any way, shape, or form. You could say that he is the guy who's mastered just about every technique there is to utilize, and he certainly loves the tricks and everything else that can be done along with it. I guess the only bad side to it is sometimes you're looking at a backing track of drum machine and stuff like that. It's an avant-garde kind of thing. All this week, that's what we've been doing. All albums from Buckethead. So
Yep.
if you're watching or not watching, take a look, listen. I'm going from everything from soundtrack, which he's done Ghosts of Mars. What's the Arnold Schwarzenegger movie? Last Action Hero. And he's done video game like Sigil and many other things with all kinds of, including Viggo Mortensen from Lord of the Rings. He's done albums with him. Travis Dickerson.
Really?
Yeah, lots of famous people on the list, including Guns N' Roses. He was the replacement for Slim.
He was? That's such a cool little tidbit. Where did you go see him in 2008 when you took Christopher?
We were at the what was that? It's a country bar.
Howdy's,
yeah, but it wasn't called Howdy's
What?
then, was it? Was it called Howdy's then?
It might have been called Main Street something or other.
Yeah. So that was it. Yeah.
Yeah, Chris was only about 15. He just was off his rocker when he got back from that show. He was like, that was so fun. That was so awesome.
Yeah,
So
it was quite the experience. Although my wife is pretty pissed that we were not at the Foo Fighters show in Rochester.
oh, I remember there was that little conflict back.
Yeah, it was a Thanksgiving special show. Food Network was there. I don't know. Maybe we missed an opportunity. I don't know. We'll never know. We'll never. And then Buckethead just played the Ironworks a couple of years ago here in Buffalo, so he still gets around. So
He was here a few weeks ago.
yeah. Back to you, Jeff. It's your number one.
It's obvious I'm picking Edward Ludwig Van Halen. I mean,
like you just talked about him
I feel like that's all I have to say is his name. You know, just can't be argued. It's just what I grew up on, but I still will listen to the day I die.
Yeah,
just amazing.
So if there was one, you know, what is the one riff? What is the, you know, what is it? Is it a solo, or is it?
Everyone says even on Howard Stern, that he asked Joe Satriani before he launched the tour with Sammy play a lot of the songs. You know, Sammy says I had to pick Joe because there's certain songs we just haven't been able to play since Eddie's been gone, and so he asked Joe, what is the hardest song or riff of Eddie's to play? And it's the beginning of Mean Street, where it's a lot of tapping, but it's almost like slap tapping, like a bass. And he did it all right, but literally, I don't know anyone that can do it like him. It's just natural for him, you know, having built the guitars himself. I guess, you know, it is part of you, I guess. But
right.
Yeah, so that to me is it's a very small portion of the song, but it's just incredible to hear that.
Could you imagine if it wasn't? Yeah.
Yeah. But other than that, I love the way he uses the distortion on Cathedral to make it sound more like organs and violins. But
that's cool.
Yeah. But all his rhythms too are good, and they all fit the tracks. And even the way he changed a little bit of the sound from the days of Roth to Hagar, you know, were really good.
Yeah, he's definitely can bring people in to, you know where the tone is for the guy's voice.
He always stays within the song, but then he adds like these little exclamation points here and there, you know.
Yeah, definitely.
Cool. I had my bet. That's when we did this week. I was like, okay, so he's gonna be out, and then he's gonna nail it down when yes, he's number one. He's number one in my book. Deb, you're number one.
Jimmy Page.
Ah, yes.
Of course. Always has to be my number one, my favorite band. And it's not just because of Robert Plant, even though I've been waiting for him to knock on my door to propose. I love every person in the ensemble. Black Dog. I mean, I can just tell you, like, there's just parts of almost every Zeppelin song that I love out of all the albums and just go, oh, without Jimmy, it just wouldn't be Led Zeppelin. Just like without Robert, it wouldn't be Led Zeppelin. And without Bonham, it wouldn't be Led Zeppelin. And yes, John Paul Jones, without you, it wouldn't be Zeppelin. And you know, he ties into my Clapton thing and where they came from and the Yardbirds and Cream and just their blues upbringing and all of that. But then how he made it so distinctive to him. And I think when I was listening to Zeppelin in the beginning, I had no idea how much they stole from the blues. Right? Which all rock and roll comes from it in some way, shape, or form. So he will always be my number one since and I wouldn't know any different for technical things like you, Mark, with Buckethead and Martin from Tea Party and things like that. I am just picking these guys from my favorite bands and why I love these favorite bands. And these guitarists were part of my favorant bands or favorite albums, right?
Yep.
That's how it is.
That's what this is about. And I want to get other people to, give us the likes and comments, and the comments being what their favorite, you can put, I'm not going to poo-poo anybody that says the same old, it's fine. Right. I mean, I'm pretty sure, that probably Jeff Crichton was going to be on here. Jeff Beck would be on his list. Right. And he would be on mine too. As a matter of fact, Jeff Beck was way down on my list, and then has been always every year as I keep listening to more and more and going.
I know.
Continues to be probably the one guitarist whose signature is so unique and so part of an extension of himself that it's unduplicatable probably. But But I
yeah,
don't
it's
know the
hard to
guitar
know.
that well. So all I know is that I was not listening as much as because he was not front and center.
Yes.
He was not, his albums didn't sell. He was not
Right.
put at the front of anything at any places I was at. It was already overrun by grunge and
Yeah.
pop and the 80s, good fucking luck. Jeff Beck was
Yeah.
not going to be pile driving
No.
through the 80s. That
He's more your rabbit hole kind of guy,
he's a
like you've been
70s
saying.
guy,
Mhm.
79, 78,
Yeah, let's go backwards. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. This just came in the mail to me today.
Live in Europe.
Live in Europe, 1969. Double CD. It has several versions of the same thing because these are short shows because this is before they broke.
Yes, it was.
So I will share this with you at some point.
You will?
Yes. So
over a bottle of red wine.
Yes.
Oh, I see an album review coming up.
Oh, we've already done it.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah,
I talked and talked and talked.
So before I get into my number one, my wife decided to not participate in the show due to her timing and thought that so she sends her 5. Her number 5 is Joe Satriani.
Wow, I didn't expect that.
Her number 4 is Carlos Santana.
Go on.
Her number 3 is Eric Clapton. Her number 2 is Stevie Ray Vaughan.
Okay.
And her number 1 is Prince.
Oh, me and Susie Q. We line up a lot. She's my sister from another mister, huh?
Yeah, you go. Yeah. My number 1.
Okay, let's just let the audience remember
this bumps Buckethead
and
generally
Buckethead down.
If someone said who is the greatest guitarist in my mind, that might be a different story. The gentleman who I have at my number 1 is the one I listen to, is the one that somehow that chord, that structure, that feedback, that distortion, and everything else that goes with it is just iconic. And every time, it doesn't matter whether it's something old. Something new sometimes doesn't work out so well, depending on the political stance.
Oh.
And the middle and creativity of things, that's Neil Young.
Hey, my.
Okay. He is responsible for what grunge technically is. He's the godfather of it. With his feedback distortion.
Yeah.
And just to know that has such a signature, that there's an album that's all there is on the album is feedback, and he makes songs out of feedback, and that's on Weld or Arc. Okay, and I bought that.
Of course you did.
I don't listen to that a lot, but the first time I listened, I was like, oh yeah. I go back to that. I go, I got to put on the actual live album, Arc, Weld, and I mean, just awesome. And even when he's doing it in a style that, in the songs that go with it. And yes, I will say to you that people are looking at me right now going, you got to be kidding me. Yes, some of it sounds the same. It does. He even acknowledges it when he's singing. He'll go, well, it all sounds the same. And he's even got on Greendale, he says, isn't he saying the same shit he's already said before? Yes, but I've seen him live twice. I wish I would have seen him earlier. He's just, for me, that is a signature. I think he's a Les Paul guy, maybe. I don't even know. But Daniel Lanois built a specific guitar for him to have a down tuning on the bottom so he could play 2 things at the same time. And that's what Lanois was. And Lanois is a completely different record, but it still shares the distortion and that feedback that he's so, I don't even know if other people have done it, but it just, it works for me. And
I always thought he was just like me tuning up for band and squeaking my clarinet by mistake, but thanks.
Yes, there's nothing I like better than when he yells out, smell the horse on this one. And then next thing you know, I don't even know what smelling has to do with electric guitar, but I know what's coming next.
It's just a sense.
He said horse. Oh.
That's a whole other show.
So anyway,
Oh my God.
a couple of honorable mentions. We got a couple minutes if you want.
Sure.
Deb, you can.
Oh, me first?
Yeah, sure.
Oh, okay. Well, Slash was on my honorable mentions, but Mr. Jeff, he took that. But obviously, Ted Nugent. I don't think he's he's one of my favorites. I don't think he's the greatest, as we already, have discussed. That's not what the show is about, but I've seen him twice. He's energetic, he's fun, you know what he's all about. He is no holds barred. If you don't like him, he doesn't give a shit. So I like his attitude along with his playing. I think that really his form of guitar work made me more open to people like a Slash, or because to me there's nothing bluesy. He's rock. He's rock to me. He's not even Southern rock to me. He's just rock.
Yeah.
He's Motor City rock. We know that about him, right?
Yeah, he wouldn't be.
Yeah. And then Jeff Beck was on my list, of course. And Lenny Kravitz, I just like him as an artist, and I feel that he's not unique. No, he's not unique at all.
No.
But he encompasses a lot of the guitarists that I love. And
Correct.
and I still know it's Lenny.
Yeah.
But
like
there's like a crossover there.
Yeah, he's Prince.
So,
he's
he found his little Hendrix Prince, whatever it is, and then he made his own image, and I think he's a great performer. So those were the ones that, and I know it sounds so weird because anybody that's listening to this probably, it's just my old school thing. I love Robin Trower. I don't know why, but it's a big influence for me. Oh, Bridge of Sighs is one of my favorite albums.
Might be one of the greatest guitar albums of all time.
So he was on my list too, but my top 5 had a lot more albums and a lot more influence and a lot more songs, and so I couldn't put Robin Trower up there. But one of my faves.
Jeff.
Of course, I had Satriani because he just has a way of making his guitar sing. I picked Dave Mustaine because I still listen to a lot of that Megadeth, and plus, I think it's amazing that you can play that heavy, fast, and I guess it's seems seemingly so difficult, but looks so easy when he's doing it, and he does vocals on top of that. And then I picked Billy Duffy of the Cult because there's so many memorable, unique tones. Like all the songs, it's just like the guitar stands out, and it's always so good. So I think that's one of my underrated ones. But picked Randy Rhoads from Ozzy, and I thought Perry from Aerosmith, and then of course George Lynch.
George Lynch. Yeah.
Oh, I forgot about Joe Perry. I'm really sorry. I love you. I love Aerosmith.
All right. Couple obvious ones on my end of things. Jerry Cantrell, Alice in Chains, and his own solo. He's even made that a little bit different. Keith Richards from the Rolling Stones. You can't. What riff hadn't he done? Somebody's duplicate.
Yeah.
And then I'm gonna step off for a couple that people are very underrated. Charlie Hunter, jazz guitar.
Who's that?
Just absolutely astounding, and he has this blend of things that he can do. Also, I've touted another jazz guitarist, and that's Julian Lang. He's like on top of the world right now with where he's at. Joe Bonamassa.
Oh my gosh.
Joe
I finally learned how to say his name right.
I would put him. I mean, I know people have some sort of problem. I don't know what that's all about. He is a fantastic blues musician who's taken blues into. He can do the southern side of it. He can do the big band blues. He can do straight up and then even the acoustic thing. If you have the night at the opera, whatever, the Vienna Opera House, which is the electric and then winds up in acoustic at the end. he's fabulous. And whether he's emulating somebody or you don't think it's his own style, he's ridiculously talented. And
I agree.
and finally, McLaughlin from Mahavishnu Orchestra and everything. He's responsible for so many people who loved guitar and helping them and everything. He's like a signature in his own for that 70s, and he could do jazz rock, he could do rock, he could do even a little bit of doomy kind of heavy rock, and so I mean I had the people that you guys all had too in that mill, but those are the people that kind of stuck with me. And you know what, over the years it may change. I mean, when I've done this list a long time ago, Buckethead would not have been on the list because I didn't even know he existed, and I'm sure that's a lot of people too. So it's that's you got to fall into these and find and look and hey, if we were going to do this thing like, wow, who's got, we talked about riffs and stuff, but we didn't even talk about catchy. All right, hooks. If you think about, well, who's the greatest hook guy? Well, the first person that comes to my mind is the guy from Collective Soul. Because I mean,
very good.
Yeah, everything's a hook. I mean, holy crap. But there's other people too. But there's all kind of different ways to play guitar, and some people use it for the hook, and some people use it a lot longer and bigger and bombastic. And I think the people we mentioned today fit that.
Yeah.
I'll thank the panel for doing this. I'll thank my wife for sending her list. What were your favorite 5? Okay, maybe you're going to give us 10, 12, 20. Hell, put it in 100. I don't care. I love the list. And if you can pop in somebody I'd never heard of, there's probably somebody in there that's a shredder that I don't even know about. I know it's, there's Joey Eppard from 3 and those kind of people. So we're on the web at beyondyourradio.com, but you knew that already. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, of course. We got articles, videos, and podcasts coming. We're a little bit of ways on that, but maybe one of these days suddenly it'll start happening. Go Beyond Your Radio with us, a real music appreciation channel. And tomorrow, that's right, we're going back to a Southern soul blues guy. And I'm telling you right now, there's no Joe Cocker anymore. But this guy's pretty damn close.
Really?
Yep. Go. Thank you for watching. Happy listening.
Bye.